Harry is not the greatest and most intelligent bunny on the planet, and I've said this many times. And quite frankly, he very rarely engages brain before he engages mouth. And to say something like that, which to the Americans, Elvis was an icon, and he was an icon to a lot of pop rock music fans. So to say that is just absolutely ridiculous. It almost sounds like attention seeking. In the hope that somebody is going to have a go at him, that he can have a go back.
Meghan Markle just doesn't seem to understand that. If she's going to stand on this issue of internet safety, the first and foremost place that you must see this is on Meghan Markle's own Instagram page, which she refuses to do. She's trying to monetize everything, and it's impossible not to believe that Meghan Markle knows that posting her children generally gives her a bit more engagement.
What happens when the ultimate royal gatekeeper decides to completely tear down the most carefully constructed brand in modern Hollywood history? You get an absolute, unmitigated PR disaster. Right now, behind the high, fortified walls of a certain $14 million Montecito mansion, the plates are reportedly flying, phone lines are melting, and Meghan Markle is said to be in a state of absolute, unadulterated panic. Why? Because Dickie Arbiter, a man who spent decades guarding the deepest, darkest secrets of the British royal family as press secretary to the late Queen Elizabeth II, has just stepped out of the shadows. And he didn't just drop a subtle hint. He delivered a shocking, multi-layered verbal blow regarding Archie and Lilibet that has completely exposed the grand illusion of the Sussex digital empire. Are we looking at a mother trying to protect her innocent children from a predatory digital world? Or are we witnessing the most calculated, cold-blooded commercial exploitation scheme ever run by a modern celebrity? If you think you've heard every possible critique of the Duchess of Sussex, think again. What Arbiter has just revealed doesn't just cross the line. It completely erases it, turning the Sussex household into an active corporate boardroom where childhood itself has apparently been given a price tag. Grab your popcorn and lock the doors, because the royal curtain has just been violently ripped open, and what's hiding behind the filtered perfection of Instagram is about to shock you to your very core. You know, to truly understand the sheer magnitude of the panic currently echoing through the corridors of Montecito, you have to look at the spectacular, multi-million-dollar stage that was set just days before this entire house of cards came tumbling down. Meghan Markle didn't just step out for a casual walk. She flew all the way to Geneva, Switzerland, on a mission of grand, global proportions. This wasn't just any appearance. She was there under the heavy, prestigious banner of the World Health Organization, standing shoulder to shoulder with top international diplomats to inaugurate what was called the Lost Screen Memorial. It was an intensely emotional, deeply dramatic exhibition featuring rows of smartphones displaying the lock screens of children who had tragically fallen victim to internet harm and predatory online behavior. Meghan took the microphone, and she did what she does best. She delivered a performance that could rival any top-tier Hollywood drama. Her voice trembled with practiced empathy. Her eyes locked onto the cameras as she delivered a sweeping, passionate lecture to world leaders, tech executives, and ordinary parents about the sheer predatory malice of modern social media algorithms. She looked directly into the lens and practically declared that digital safety was the defining moral and public health crisis of our generation. She argued with fierce, unyielding intensity that children deserve absolute, uncompromised shielding from the digital world, stating that social media companies exploit the innocent for corporate profit and data harvesting. It was a masterpiece of public relations, designed to instantly cement her position as the world's premier, untouchable champion of children's digital rights. The mainstream media swallowed it hook, line, and sinker, splashing her face across global headlines as the modern saint of internet advocacy. But then, the private jet took off, the cameras were packed away, and the Duchess returned home to her pristine California paradise. And this is exactly where the fairy tale curdles into a deeply uncomfortable reality, because within hours of landing back at her sprawling estate, the high-powered corporate content machinery inside her house didn't just twist the narrative, it completely flipped the switch. Without a single hint of irony, a fresh, meticulously staged, beautifully filtered photograph of her daughter, Lilibet, was dropped onto a massive public social media platform to mark her 5th birthday. 5 years old. A vulnerable child with absolutely no voice, zero digital agency, and completely incapable of giving legal or personal consent to having her existence dissected, analyzed, and consumed by millions of total strangers across the globe. And that is precisely the moment where the universe decided it had seen enough, because stepping right into the middle of this glaring contradiction was Dickie Arbiter. Now, for those who don't know, Dickie Arbiter isn't just some random commentator sitting in a bedroom making videos. This man is a walking, breathing institution. He spent nearly 5 decades operating at the absolute pinnacle of the British royal machine. As the former press secretary to both the late Queen Elizabeth II and King Charles III, Arbiter has stood in the room where the most explosive secrets in modern history were managed, buried, or handled. He has witnessed the scandals, the cover-ups, the bitter divorces, and the cold, calculated political maneuvers that happen behind closed palace doors. He knows exactly what real discretion looks like, and more importantly, he knows exactly when someone is putting on a performance for the sake of a corporate balance sheet. So when Dickie Arbiter took one look at Meghan Markle's Grand Geneva speech, and contrasted it with her immediate return to social media self-promotion, he didn't just offer a mild critique. He unleashed a shocking, unfiltered verbal missile that completely shattered the Sussex PR shield, and reportedly sent their entire California team into a state of absolute, unmitigated code red panic. Arbiter looked directly at the camera during a recent high-profile commentary segment, and laid out a series of claims so damning, so precise, that they have completely reframed the entire conversation around how the Sussex children are being raised. He pointed out that while Meghan stands on global stages weeping for the safety of children online, she is simultaneously running a clinical, highly sophisticated content strategy that depends entirely on the public presence and emotional pull of her own offspring. He didn't mince his words. He openly accused her of using the children as a shield against negative press, noting that whenever a business venture wobbles or a major project fails to hit its targets, a calculated, soft-focus image of a tiny hand or a child's silhouette suddenly appears online like clockwork to bury the bad headlines under a wave of warm, sympathetic family sentiment. The immediate fallout from Arbiter's public takedown was so severe that Meghan's expensive team of crisis managers rushed an emergency statement to Newsweek, attempting to execute a logical twist so profound it practically requires a double take to believe. In this carefully engineered, lawyerly statement, the spokesperson argued that by obscuring the children's faces, by only showing the backs of their heads, their side profiles, or their silhouettes melting into a California sunset, Meghan was actually living out the very principles she preached in Switzerland. According to their twisted PR logic, a blurred face or a hidden angle isn't a marketing tease. It is a supreme act of protection, privacy, and digital agency. They essentially told the world that because you can't see the child's eyes, the image doesn't count as exploitation. But this is exactly where the entire defense completely falls apart under the weight of actual expert scrutiny. When you consult leading child safety professionals, digital forensic experts, and law enforcement agencies who specialize in online behavior, they will tell you a story that is diametrically opposed to Meghan's PR copy. These professionals explicitly warn that this specific, hyper-calculated, will they won't they approach to showing a child's face is actually far more dangerous than either showing them fully or keeping them completely offline. By teasing the public with partial reveals, by showing just a glimpse of hair or a tiny hand at the edge of a perfectly curated kitchen frame, you are not protecting the child from obsessive, unstable followers. You are actually hyper-stimulating their curiosity. For a certain breed of deeply unhealthy, predatory, or obsessive internet dweller, a half-hidden child isn't a barrier that keeps them away. It is an active, tantalizing invitation. It turns the child's very growth and existence into a continuous digital mystery game, ensuring that millions of people remain glued to the screen, picking apart every single pixel, waiting desperately for the next drop, the next clue, the next partial reveal. And on social media, that constant, addictive curiosity translates directly into sky-high engagement metrics. And on social media, engagement metrics are the absolute lifeblood of corporate value. This is the core of what Dickie Arbiter has so brilliantly exposed, and it is the exact reason why the term rank hypocrisy is currently trending across global platforms. You simply cannot have it both ways. You cannot stand before the world as a grand, moral authority lecturing everyday parents to lock down their devices and protect their children from digital platforms, while you simultaneously build an entire multi-million-dollar lifestyle brand that relies heavily on using those exact same platforms to showcase a highly curated, deeply monetized version of your own domestic life. If the concern for Archie and Lilibet's safety and anonymity were genuine, if it were rooted in a pure, unadulterated desire to protect them from the harsh, toxic glare of the public eye, the solution is so blindingly obvious that a child could figure it out. You simply do not post them. You don't put them on Instagram. You don't put them in Netflix documentaries. You don't include them in global press releases. You take the photographs on your phone, you print them out, you slide them into a physical leather album, and you keep them on a shelf in your living room to show to actual family members and close, trusted friends. You keep them completely out of the digital ecosystem. The undeniable fact that these images continue to drop, carefully timed around commercial milestones, tells any rational observer everything they need to know about what is truly driving the vehicle. This isn't a proud, spontaneous mother sharing a sweet, messy family memory with her community. This is a clinical, corporate content calendar in full execution mode, where two young, innocent human beings are not being treated as children who need absolute shielding, but as highly effective, emotionally potent brand assets. The strategy is as brilliant as it is ruthless, because children, especially royal children who hold titles and direct proximity to the most famous bloodline on earth, possess an emotional currency that money simply cannot buy. They soften the brand. They make a highly controversial, heavily criticized celebrity couple look relatable, warm, and aspirational. When Meghan is shown baking in a sunlit, state-of-the-art kitchen with a toddler caught at the very edge of the frame, the viewer isn't just looking at a recipe. They are being subtly invited to buy into an entire illusion of perfect, idyllic, elite domestic bliss. And that illusion is exactly what powers the commercial architecture of her latest lifestyle venture, American Riviera Orchard. Every single element of this brand strategy has been considered, framed, lit, timed, and approved by a small army of marketing consultants. The precise minute the birthday post drops, the specific hashtags used, the lighting that gives the image a soft, angelic, almost heavenly glow. It is all part of a structured pipeline designed to maximize reach, maintain cultural relevance, and ultimately drive financial revenue back to the corporate entity. But what makes this entire apparatus so deeply disturbing, and what has reportedly caused Prince William's blood to boil across the Atlantic, is the absolute lack of digital consent involved. We are talking about an integrated global system where a 7-year-old boy and a 5-year-old girl are being systematically enrolled into a commercial empire without having a single clue that their names, their milestones, and their very likenesses are being weaponized to sell high-end jams, organic preserves, luxury candles, and lifestyle clothing lines. And as the public backlash over these shocking claims begins to reach a fever pitch, the focus is starting to shift heavily toward the one person who is supposed to understand the trauma of media exploitation better than anyone else alive. The conversation is turning directly onto Prince Harry, because his loud, glaring silence in the face of this massive commercial machine is starting to look less like passive agreement, and more like active, undeniable complicity in a system he once swore to destroy. And that is where the plot thickens into something truly sinister, because if you look closely at Prince Harry's historical crusade against the media, his current silence isn't just confusing, it is completely damning. This is a man who has spent the last 5 years filing high-profile lawsuits, writing explosive memoirs, and sitting down for sweeping television interviews where the core, recurring theme of his entire existence was the absolute protection of his family. He has wept in front of cameras, claiming that the ghost of his mother's tragic past haunts his every waking moment, and that his ultimate, sacred duty on this earth was to shield his wife and children from the predatory glare of public exploitation. He explicitly stated that the British press was a toxic monster that hunted his family, and that he fled his homeland to the sunny shores of California to give his children a normal, private, unmonetized childhood free from the shackles of the royal fishbowl. But now, as Dickie Arbiter's shocking claims reverberate through the media landscape, the world is forced to confront a massive, terrifying logical chasm. How does a man who claims to be deeply traumatized by the media spotlight sit quietly on a plush velvet sofa in Montecito while his children's names, milestones, and very silhouettes are systematically woven into a commercial content pipeline designed to pump up the valuation of a global lifestyle brand? The answer, according to highly placed anonymous sources whispering from the elite circles of Santa Barbara, is that Harry is trapped in a psychological cage of his own making, completely paralyzed by the terrifying realization that the very monster he claimed to run away from is currently being fed from inside his own house. These leaked reports suggest that behind the heavy, hand-carved oak doors of their estate, the atmosphere has turned incredibly tense, with Harry reportedly raising serious, panicked questions about the long-term psychological damage this continuous digital exposure could inflict on Archie and Lilibet. According to these internal leaks, Harry has privately expressed deep anxiety that they are repeating the exact same patterns of public exposure that ruined his own childhood, turning his son and daughter into public property before they are even old enough to understand what a digital footprint actually is. But every time he attempts to pull back the reins, every time he suggests taking the children completely off the grid and locking down their public images, he is met with the cold, unyielding reality of the Sussex corporate balance sheet. Meghan's team of high-powered Hollywood agents, brand strategists, and financial advisors have reportedly made it explicitly clear that in the brutal, cutthroat world of American celebrity commerce, relevance is the only currency that matters. And right now, with their multi-million-dollar Spotify deal completely dead in the water, their Netflix contract hovering on a precarious cliff, and public interest in their endless royal grievances steadily declining, the children are quite literally the most valuable, bankable assets the couple possesses. The cold, hard truth of the matter is that a solo photo of Meghan Markle holding a jar of artisanal jam simply doesn't generate the same astronomical engagement metrics as a beautifully lit, deeply mysterious photograph of Princess Lilibet wandering through a sun-dappled organic orchard. The presence of the children adds a layer of soft, untouchable, emotional gold to the brand, transforming what would otherwise look like a cynical, high-priced commercial hustle into an aspirational story of elite, eco-conscious family bliss. And this is precisely where the financial corruption of the entire enterprise becomes completely undeniable, because behind the scenes, a massive, highly sophisticated legal and commercial architecture was being quietly constructed long before the public ever saw a single photograph. Investigative researchers looking into the corporate filings of the Sussex Empire have uncovered a tangled web of holding companies and intellectual property filings registered in the notorious tax haven of Delaware. Among these filings are active, high-priority trademark applications for the names of both Archie and Lilibet, spanning across an incredibly wide and aggressive range of commercial categories including children's toys, clothing lines, digital media, lifestyle books, and branding services. Let that sink in for a moment. Long before these children were old enough to tie their own shoes, long before they could even comprehend the concept of a global marketplace, their names were already being locked down, copyrighted, and legally transformed into corporate intellectual property by their own parents. This isn't the behavior of protective parents trying to shield their innocent offspring from a predatory digital world. This is the behavior of high-level corporate executives executing a multi-year, multi-phase product rollout strategy where the products happen to be their own flesh and blood. And the hypocrisy becomes even more stomach-churning when you look at the specific monetization features that have quietly been integrated into their digital ecosystem. Insiders have pointed out that several of the highly curated lifestyle posts featuring the children have been subtly tied to digital shopping networks and high-end fashion affiliate programs. When a carefully staged photograph drops showing the back of Archie's head as he walks through a beautiful garden, royal fashion blogs and lifestyle apps instantly receive the exact product breakdowns of the luxury linen shirt or the organic cotton shorts he is wearing, complete with direct purchase links that funnel a neat, tidy percentage of every sale right back into the Sussex corporate accounts. It is a flawless, self-sustaining financial loop. The global audience tunes in out of deep curiosity to catch a rare glimpse of the mysterious royal children, the engagement metrics skyrocket, the affiliate links are clicked by thousands of affluent followers, and the cash registers in Montecito keep ringing all day long. This is the exact clinical mechanism that Dickie Arbiter has brought kicking and screaming into the light, and it is the exact reason why the public reaction across the United Kingdom, and the United States has completely turned into a wave of pure, unadulterated fury. Every major social media platform is currently flooded with thousands of blistering comments from ordinary, everyday parents who feel completely insulted by Meghan's grand, moralizing lectures in Geneva. People are openly pointing out the sheer absurdity of a multi-millionaire duchess flying across the world on a private jet to tell working-class mothers how to police their children's digital safety, while she is simultaneously running a high-powered commercial sweatshop out of her own home that treats her own children as premium marketing props. The public outrage has gotten so severe that major royal commentary forums and parenting communities are actively calling for a total, organized boycott of all upcoming products launched under the American Riviera Orchard banner. The prevailing sentiment across the internet is shifting from mild amusement to deep, profound disgust, with people openly labeling the Sussex strategy as a form of elite, soft-focused child labor disguised as progressive parenting. But the crisis isn't just contained to the chaotic, unpredictable world of internet comment sections. The shockwaves from Arbiter's public claims have traveled all the way to the highest corridors of royal power in London, causing an absolute firestorm inside Buckingham Palace and Clarence House. Reliable sources deep within the royal household report that King Charles III is deeply, profoundly saddened by these latest revelations, feeling a toxic mix of intense heartbreak and utter helplessness as he watches his two youngest grandchildren being systematically transformed into commercial Hollywood commodities. The king, who has spent his entire life understanding the heavy, often agonizing burden of public life, had desperately hoped that by stepping away from active royal duties, Harry would at least give Archie and Lilibet a chance at a normal, quiet, dignified upbringing. To see their names turned into Delaware trademarks and their milestones used as tactical shields to deflect negative press from a lifestyle brand is said to be causing the monarch immense personal distress. Meanwhile, over at Kensington Palace, Prince William's reaction is said to be significantly less sorrowful and infinitely more furious. William, who has fiercely and successfully protected his own three children, George, Charlotte, and Louis, from the predatory aspects of the digital media landscape, reportedly views Harry and Meghan's commercial tactics with absolute contempt. William has established a razor-sharp, ironclad boundary with the global media. His children are only seen during official, historic state occasions or highly controlled, carefully scheduled birthday portraits that are distributed equally to all press outlets without a single penny of commercial profit changing hands. There are no affiliate links, no lifestyle brands, no trademark names in tax havens, and absolutely no mysterious teases designed to spike social media algorithms. To see his own brother completely abandon those sacred family standards and allow his niece and nephew to be used as digital traffic drivers for an organic jam company is said to have permanently broken whatever tiny, fragile thread of brotherly affection was still hanging on between the two princes. The word coming out of London is that the royal family is now actively consulting with their top legal advisors to explore what options, if any, the crown has to protect the dignity of the titles currently attached to Archie and Lilibet. Because at the end of the day, these children aren't just private American citizens. They hold valid, legal titles under the British peerage. They are a prince and a princess of the United Kingdom, 7th and 8th in the line of succession to the historic British throne. And using those sacred, historic titles as corporate branding hooks to sell high-end home goods and luxury candles in California is a violation of every unwritten rule of royal conduct. As the pressure continues to mount from every single angle, and as Dickie Arbiter's words continue to strip away the last remaining layers of their moral credibility, the legal and financial stakes for the Sussex Empire have suddenly escalated into a terrifying, real-world crisis that could completely destroy their entire American dream before the year is out. And that escalation is precisely where the entire Sussex corporate apparatus hits a massive, unyielding wall of real-world legal jeopardy, because the financial structures they built in Delaware are now drawing the intense, hyper-focused attention of serious regulatory bodies. This isn't just about bad press anymore. Legal experts who specialize in international trademark law and celebrity intellectual property are openly predicting that Meghan's commercial empire is marching straight into a historic, multi-million-dollar legal nightmare. The core of the problem lies directly within those aggressive trademark filings for the names of Archie and Lilibet. In the United States, federal law maintains strict, unbending regulations regarding the commercial exploitation of names belonging to minor children, especially when those children are completely incapable of signing legal documents or providing verified, independent consent. Several consumer advocacy groups and high-profile legal watchdogs are reportedly preparing to file formal challenges with the United States Patent and Trademark Office, arguing that these specific trademarks are inherently unethical and should be completely voided on public policy grounds. If these federal challenges are successful, the financial fallout for the American Riviera Orchard brand will be absolutely catastrophic. Millions of dollars spent on packaging, product design, marketing campaigns, and digital infrastructure tied directly to the children's names could be instantly wiped out, forcing a complete and humiliating corporate restructuring under the harsh, mocking glare of the global media. At the exact same time, a quiet but incredibly intense financial panic is spreading among the wealthy Silicon Valley venture capitalists and elite Hollywood investors who were originally courted to fund the Sussex lifestyle expansion. These high-net-worth individuals and corporate funds do not invest out of the goodness of their hearts. They invest based on a cold, calculated analysis of brand stability, consumer trust, and public sentiment metrics. With Dickie Arbiter's claims of rank hypocrisy trending globally, internal tracking data reveals that public trust in the Sussex brand has plummeted to an all-time low across their primary consumer demographics in North America. Investors are reportedly terrified of being publicly associated with a brand that is increasingly viewed as a cynical, exploitative corporate sweatshop that uses royal toddlers to drive digital traffic for profit margins. Leaked communications from top-tier talent agencies in Los Angeles suggest that several major retail partnerships and lucrative distribution deals that were on the verge of being signed have been abruptly put on ice, with corporate executives explicitly citing the toxic public backlash as a definitive deal breaker. But the legal and financial chaos in America is nothing compared to the massive, historic constitutional crisis currently brewing across the Atlantic inside the halls of the British Parliament. The shocking nature of Arbiter's claims has provided immense, unstoppable political momentum to a bipartisan group of British lawmakers who have been quietly working on a piece of legislation known as the Titles Deprivation Amendment Bill. This specific piece of legislation, which is now being fast-tracked through parliamentary committees with overwhelming support from both major political parties, would grant King Charles III the explicit, undisputed legal authority to completely strip royal titles from family members who reside permanently outside the United Kingdom and use their status for commercial gain. Politicians are openly standing up in the House of Commons and giving blistering, passionate speeches, naming Harry and Meghan directly, and accusing them of actively degrading the dignity of the British crown by turning sacred peerage titles into cheap marketing tools to sell lifestyle products in California. The prevailing political consensus in London is that if a prince and a princess are going to be used as corporate branding assets for a digital commerce empire, they should do so under their plain, legal surnames without the prestige, history, and constitutional weight of the British monarchy backing them up. If this bill passes into law, it will represent the ultimate, final blow to the Sussex business model. The entire commercial value of Archie and Lilibet within the American celebrity marketplace depends entirely on their exotic, untouchable status as a real-world prince and princess living in California. Take away those titles, reduce them legally to Master Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor and Miss Lilibet Diana Mountbatten Windsor, and the unique multi-million-dollar marketing allure vanishes into thin air overnight. They instantly become just two more ordinary celebrity children in a sea of privileged Hollywood kids, completely stripping Meghan of her most potent, emotionally currency-driven brand advantages. And as this multi-front war of law, finance, and politics rages on around them, the psychological toll inside the walls of Montecito is said to have reached a truly frightening breaking point. The state of absolute panic that Meghan is reportedly experiencing isn't just driven by the fear of losing money or titles. It is driven by the terrifying, unavoidable realization that her control over the global narrative has completely slipped through her fingers. For years, she was able to carefully curate every single frame, control every press release, and dictate exactly how the world viewed her life, her choices, and her family. But Dickie Arbiter didn't just criticize her strategy. He completely changed the language of the entire debate, shifting the public perception from a story about a protective, loving mother to a story about a clinical, calculating corporate executive who treats her own children as premium assets on a balance sheet. That is a narrative shift that no amount of expensive Hollywood public relations can ever truly fix or erase. And the absolute worst part of this entire unfolding tragedy is that the clock is ticking loudly, and the eventual, final reckoning won't come from a judge, a politician, or a royal press secretary. The true, final fallout of this massive commercial operation will happen years from now, right inside their own home, when Archie and Lilibet are finally old enough to claim their own digital identities. Every single photograph, every single carefully timed PR drop, every single Delaware trademark filing, and every single global debate about their faces, their hair, and their commercial value is being permanently etched into the immutable digital fabric of the internet. One day, they will sit down at a laptop, away from the watchful eyes of their marketing consultants, and they will search their own names. They will read the blistering commentary, they will see the affiliate links that monetize their childhood outfits, and they will discover that before they were even old enough to form a single conscious memory, their very existence was being used as a tactical shield to protect a corporate brand from negative headlines. They will have to confront the deep, terrifying realization that their childhood wasn't a private, sacred sanctuary of love and protection, but a highly public, beautifully lit, deeply monetized performance executed on behalf of a multi-million-dollar lifestyle empire. When that day inevitably comes, the carefully constructed illusions of Montecito will shatter once and for all, leaving behind a devastation that no amount of wealth, celebrity status, or artisanal jam can ever repair. It is an absolutely chilling scenario to imagine, but it forces us to confront the biggest question of all. When the dust finally settles on this multi-million-dollar lifestyle empire, what do you think the ultimate cost will be for Archie and Lilibet? Will they look back at these years and see a mother who was genuinely trying to protect them? Or will they call it out as a cold, calculated marketing strategy that put a price tag on their childhood? And what about Prince Harry? Is his silence a sign that he is completely trapped in a corporate nightmare of his own making? Or has he simply become a willing partner in the exact same type of public exploitation he once swore to destroy? This conversation is moving far beyond the usual royal gossip. It is about the fundamental ethics of modern celebrity culture, and your voice needs to be a part of it. Drop your honest thoughts in the comments section below, because this is a discussion that deserves real, unedited perspectives from people who see right through the media spin. If this deep, investigative breakdown brought you the clarity you won't find in mainstream headlines, please hit that like button right now. It takes less than a second, but it completely changes how these critical truths are shared across the platform. Make sure to share this video with anyone who needs to see the reality behind the filtered images, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on. We are right here every single day, uncovering the massive stories hiding beneath the surface. Thank you for watching, stay vigilant, and we will see you on the very next video.